After Saddam Hussein, bin Laden.
I don't think anybody could have predicted that they would try to use an airplane as a missile, a hijacked airplane as a missile.
It's for time to show these people what power's all about.
You better put your hood on, lady.
All right.
Might wanna hide your identity to be safer. You know.
Colin Powell. Conolingus rice. Conolingus rice. Sounds like a Mexican dish. Maybe we should put her on the plate and send her to Mexico so the Mexicans will eat her.
Wait, Wendy, let me get this straight. Why aren't there any banks in the ghetto?
Well, Chuck, that's because banks hate black people, but I think that's about to change. Back to you.
I bet you're right, Wendy. Hot damn almighty, I bet you're right.
Hi. So apparently if a business has criminally mistreated you, it's not an offense for the mistreated to say a thing or two about the business. Now, I know he hasn't been personally arrested. Let's say, what if Kensington at Capitol put a new spin on hearing voices? And it's meant to be a radio. What happened there? Slow played radiological execution. Now the objective here, you've already got the ideology, is he goes, well, these people are fucking martyrs, here's their cause. All they'd have to do is pick a song with, you know, London Bridge is falling down. Notice how this person never drives or drives over bridges or blah blah blah, or sits under bridges. Yeah. Clearly his cause is to bring London Bridge down. But he comes up with bullshit, and his claim, his religious claim that someone is a martyr is based on a circumspective predatorial approach towards Jesus in the Gospel of Mark. So even him knowing that that's an unwarranted execution, it excites him even more. It makes him realize that so long as governments and courts are loving the Bible or not contesting the Bible, not classing the Bible as an offense, then there are a lot of things he can get away with. Strategize the business operations around it. So measurements of the cerebellum of people who have suffered and struggled through binds will give him, I'm not sure if it's by some measure of radiometric inversion, the way to shock other people so that it antagonizes the nucleic acid and will be registered as a virus by any medical assessor. It's the best that they'll tell. It's the argument that, you know, the person who chooses to sell the technology can choose to sell what tech they've got to who they want and for reasons that they want. So what's our history? We're the dumping ground from the United Kingdom. I don't know of an Australian knighted in Australia. I haven't been taught of one. So we aren't part of the United Kingdom. We're the United Kingdom. But imagining this comeback, and I'll think rather militantly there. Look at that. They'll look at the UK now and go, well, Sharia law courts. Let's do business with Arabic scientists. And then I'll not tell or be obliged to tell the Commonwealth at all. I mean, what can against the crown even mean here in the ship planning to mount an assault on the United Kingdom? What does it mean? I'm not even sure why it's written there, except for the Bible, again. So, a lot of business is fucking over and deceiving people. Their objectives are going to be micro quantum electroshock measurements of the cerebellums of the people who have survived and endured the most intense conflicts that they've encountered. And that way, with those measurements, they'll be able to shock average other citizens, and they'll just go down. They could feel sexually excited while dying, depending on, how they go about it. This is why and how I know there will be no peace. You have to understand, if they're predatory towards Jesus while saying Jesus is mad, or what are Freemasons saying? They believe in all four Gospels. You don't if you're scientists. And if you only believe in Mark's Gospel as scientists and you're still calling Jesus a martyr, then you're the predator by admission. Which was also something that I knew from their speech and maybe ascertain. It seems a trivial difference, but it actually does mean scientific studies of the survivors will result in the best measurements for potentially killing people in their sleep, making it seem like anything from a heart attack to a virus. With the Doppler effect. Hi, I'm Luke. Thank you for shopping at Capital Chemist. I absolutely would not ever consent to any type of electroshock. And my former employer knows that. I'm convinced that O'Connor was a stage to try and change the nature of the arrangement only by appearance. Because they had to have spent some time thinking, this is in between and while I was invited to work at the Canberra hospital. And then they called me to invite me back. Because they're going to want to argue that because I eventually signed a form for the iconic chemist. Even though what Libby said was, you know, back to it. You've got this now. They'll want to use that form to argue that the company wouldn't have misconsented me when they couldn't have done anything but misconsent me, given that by their own statements they were saying, well, we'll put you to the test to see if you're eligible for the job. It kept me in that state for over, 8 years. So they were testing me to see if I was eligible to work there by having me work there for 8 years. But your tests are pretty fucking comprehensive. Like, does it not help if I tell you what's wrong with your religion and why you're fucking up? Like, the conclusion is, if you get off to this Bible, you fuck yourselves. Fucking fuck yourselves. Say my name when you fuck yourselves. Go to a garden and fuck yourselves. So what I think happened here was that, well, they're like bandits building sandcastles as kids. It later occurred to them as adults that it would be ingenious to build little mini synthetic monarchs in the underworld, Australian underground, which you'll never hear about on the mainstream media, because they want to make sure that you think that what's underneath you is hell, and all the way to the courts they want you to think that what's under the ground is hell, when what's under the ground is the plots of chunks of land that are owned to the descendants of former penal colony settlement operators. Remember that from childhood. We're taught about Australia being a penal colony settlement. So there'd be family A and their descendants, and they'll be like, well, we own all this land and all these suburbs, and our share is going up and down, and we'll affect the real estate value for all these suburbs, and blah 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 blah. And then there'll be penile delinquents with radars. Oh, well, what's the law of the land? We don't have to tell them about our fucking radars. Probably tinkering around with ideas of Niels Bohr. They probably made the hole in the no-go zone layer. Wouldn't surprise me. White power. I hate white power, but not white powder. White powder.